Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Torres, live from Toronto at the Retail Media Summit Canada, organized by P2PI. And this is the first interview that I'm doing today. So I have the pleasure of being sat down with Richard Rodgers, who's the marketing director at Keurig. We can go a bit more into that. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for being the first quote-unquote victim of the FMCG guys here in Canada.
Great to open it up. Yeah.
You'll have that. You'll always be the first Canadian in the FMCG guys podcast. So,
love it.
So you'll always have that for you. Tell us a bit about what you're doing at Keurig Dr Pepper.
Sure. I'm the marketing director for the Keurig system over at Keurig Dr Pepper Canada. So it's essentially leading an integrated team of brand marketing, omni-channel marketing, digital shelf, and creative designers that all work collaboratively to sell, engage with our shoppers, everything to do with the Keurig brewer, the Keurig system.
And we know that Keurig Dr Pepper is a big conglomerate with many brands and so on. Can you tell us a bit about what part of you look after within maybe give us a bit of context of the company?
Yeah, of course. Keurig Dr Pepper, one of the largest beverage companies in Canada and North America. Two sides to our business. We have our hot and cold sides of our businesses where essentially we have a beverage for every need, every occasion. Our company's set up in two business operating units of the cold and the hot side. So over on the hot side, we've got our Keurig brewer, which leads the system from a single serve coffee maker. And then we have our coffee brands, owned licensed brands. So I lead within the hot team, anything to do with the Keurig system.
Mm-hmm. Which is like the coffee machines.
Which is the coffee machines, essentially. The coffee machines and anything made with Keurig, anything within the ecosystem of what goes with the Keurig system.
Got it. So you're at that border between consumer goods like CPG and consumer electronics as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting fit. It's, in small appliance category, but ultimately you sell the brewer, but ultimately focus on driving your value with the coffee.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you kind of play within those two areas of retail, appliance, but on the beverage in the beverage category.
Yeah, absolutely. And then FYI for whoever is not that familiar with the portfolio, on the cold side, you have the famous Dr Pepper drink, for example.
Yes.
Which is the cherry flavored soda, right?
Yes.
Which is not that well. I think it is
23 flavors, not just cherry.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. In Europe, we get in Spain we get like a very small portion of that. So what is what can you tell us a bit about the journey of Keurig in retail media?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting journey. I joined the company just about 8 years ago when we were setting up a shopper marketing team.
Yeah.
The goal was really get closer to our retailers, really build more joint business plans with them. So we set up a shopper marketing team. I had a background from shopper marketing before joining the company. And it was really in the early stages of when retail media started to grow and started to become an important factor in all of our commercial plans. So it started up with building the relationships with the limited number of retailers we have here in Canada. And then over time, as our team had evolved over to a much more omni-channel structure, the retail media investments really followed. And some of our products are a little bit more impulse, some are more pre-planned.
Mm-hmm.
Keurig system, highly pre-planned. So retail media has played an incredibly important role for us to generate that top-of-mind awareness and findability when you're browsing online or in store. So what started off as a little bit more experimental has turned into a key strategic pillar for us as we do our joint business planning with each one of our sales teams and our retailers. It's become a very important media mix.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And for you must have been very interesting coming from shopper as well to have that digital side to it, no? Because
totally.
It's the extension of the physical shelf on the virtual shelf.
And that's how we had evolved. I mean, there was, we initially had more of those, physical barriers before the in-store and the online, but luckily, it's a company that's supportive and was very forward-looking and really broke down those walls between physical and digital and brought the two of them together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about this year, 2024? We're well into the retail media. It's not a revolution anymore. It's just like a key part of the component in CPG, FMCG logic, no? So what are your plans for this year?
The plans for this year, I mean, we've definitely, taken a hard look at where the investments have been in previous years. Really strong joint business planning with our retail media partners. It hasn't just been a tactical approach that our teams have looked into, what's available, what's new out there. As we sit down with our retail media partners and, we very clearly go through our objectives. We look at their calendars as well and joint business planning just to ensure that we have the best in class executions, launches, support plans to keep top of mind awareness up there. So it's going to continue to be a key focus for us. We're going to continue to invest in those right spots. and increase them as the market evolves.
Mm-hmm. And as I was pointing to before, like retail media is like now media, right? It's just part of
100%.
like the whole agenda of the company. So it's
Yeah.
not like a niche anymore.
No, not at all. And especially with the way that we've structured our team of bringing brand marketing, omni-channel marketing under the same leadership, media is media. So we look
Yeah.
at it across the funnel, and we look at essentially investing where shoppers shop. And if it means that it does take media through one of our retailers, on-site, off-site, that's where we're going to be investing. So it's looked very holistically in the overall media investments that we do, not split between the above the line, below the line. It's really media is media.
Yeah. And retail media, we've traditionally linked it to e-commerce or like virtually the virtual store, and that's it. But now there's a lot of conversation about in-store retail media.
100%.
Yeah. What opportunities do you see there?
You know what? It's that last mile that we're still trying to close here. I mean, there's tremendous growth over the past couple of years, of course, throughout COVID, of the growth of the boom in e-com, and but there's still that challenge of how do you replicate some of that experience that you're getting online in store. So we've expressed that to some of our media partners. We've expressed the interest, and what we've tried is to just close that loop so you can get that seamless experience and frictionless navigating between the online and the in-store. So what had initially started as just at shelf signage from a retail media perspective now moves a little bit more into the digital, digital interactions technology. Maybe once you're in store, bringing you to a product page that is online, but ultimately giving you all the tools in store to be able to make your decision at the point of purchase. So it's that's definitely where there's going to be the room for growth as well for our retail media partners, is finding a way to tie it all up together and leverage that in store, which in some categories is still crucial.
Yeah, because that's part of the e-commerce thing, no? That it's not only about the purchases online, but it's also a complement of information and,
Absolutely.
and awareness and so on, no?
Yeah.
It's the more upper funnel activities linked to the in-store
100%.
part, yeah. And P2PI surveyed several CPG brands recently who shared some challenges about working with retail media networks. And among them, there was minimum spend requirements, lack of data and data sharing, closed loop reporting, or lack of ability to prove ROI. Any thoughts to share here on all these challenges? They're probably very familiar with them.
Yeah, definitely. And, I've been very opinionated as well within our own company, because, of course, that's something that everybody's always going to ask you. What was the ROI for that investment? How much did you spend? The approach we've taken is really, and the approach that I've really had over the years is you can't look at it in silo. You don't want to measure just, what did this one tactic do? We look at the overall planning that we've done with our retailers. We might have gotten extra displays, extra pallet, extra flyer activity. So tying it all together and looking at it as a holistic activity, as overall, what did you do during that period? Not looking at it tactic by tactic, because if we did, it's rarely going to be positive. It's rarely going to be a high ROI. So we look at the trends, we look at the change in behavior over time, and we try not to look in just that period in time over a 1 week or maybe up to 4 week period. Look at the trends, see if we're really changing behavior and getting consumers to adopt our products and bring them into their households.
And is there any advice, any advice you would give to other FMCG brands on these challenges, which is also, I guess, what you're saying internally, ultimately?
Yeah, you know what, it's tricky. It's the relationship building, I think, for us has been crucial. And what I mean by that is relationships with our retail media partners, understanding the questions that we're being asked internally as well, the reporting that we need to do. And they're very much aware that we can't get the clear reporting on the KPIs that we're essentially looking for. So if they get a solid understanding of our business and what we're trying to accomplish here, it makes it for a lot easier discussions and a lot easier to dig a little bit into the data, and they're a little bit more supportive. So the advice there would be build those solid relationships with your retail media partners. Don't see it as just a tactic, a spend, a short-term investment. Look at it something over the long term that can just drive growth for your products.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today.